explain that, you got the information there.
The letter came to me because I was dealing with a gentleman personally at the time, and it has to do with mineral rights that the county owns. It was commonly known as the Doddridge County Poor Farm. It's out, I think, near where Oxford Road. And the Antero is wanting the county commission to sign a pooling agreement on, I believe it's 237 and a half acres there. And we gave this to Harry. He reviewed it, and he said it's pretty much just a normal pooling agreement, and had no problems with it. So,
Okay.
May I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Does that call for you all to receive wellhead price, or is it aftermarket price?
Good question.
I think
Yeah, it doesn't seem that very far off the board, and that is some size or something. That's a little bit before.
I'm not sure that it references the price other than going back to the original lease. It says, and each does hereby declare that the lease is a valid and subsisting oil and gas lease, and all of its provisions are binding upon the undersigned. So it would go back to the original lease, but
There's some place in there that talks about the division of the money and stuff, or there should be. Because what you're doing with that agreement is you're agreeing that they can take a slice off of you and join it with the next piece of property
Right.
over.
right, and it addresses that. It addresses the pools, but I don't see where it, other than referring back to the original lease, I don't see where it. Oh, wait. They got a copy of the original lease attached here.
Do you all get money from that lease?
It was, well, we get royalty income every year, so I assume that it comes from that. Lessee, this is the original lease. Lessee shall pay to lessor a total royalty equal to 1/8 of the price received by the lessee from the sale of all gas produced, saved, and marketed from the property covered hereby. So that would, in my way of thinking, that's the wellhead price.
According to the conversations on gas and oil mineral rates in the Dodgers newspaper, you can negotiate for more royalties than what the lease does. So I hope the county would be smart enough to get the best and the most money they can if you're gonna allow them to do this.
It says in the original lease 1/8.
But you can get more is what she's
You
trying to
can,
say.
right, you
Yeah.
can renegotiate those. If they want it bad enough, they'll pay.
Pooling and the original lease are two different things. It's they're referring to the original lease, but the mere fact that they want to pool, it's like what Tammy was saying, in some respects, as a mineral owner, the whole concept of pooling ties you down for a lot longer period of time. And it's actually two separate deals that you're talking about.
Well, it's my understanding that yes, oil and gas companies are offering a higher leasing or a higher percentage, but that is for unleased acreage, and they're offering 16 or 18% is my understanding to a mineral rights owner that the property is not leased. But if the property is leased and operated, they have to deal with they have to get this pooling agreement. But deal with the company that's operating the oil and gas minerals. And so typically those companies require an override in order to sign the rights to drill the Marcellus. And so between that override and the original 12.5, then that equals the 16 or 18. My understanding.
The lease, the original lease specify the stands?
Pardon?
Does the original lease specify the sands that are involved?
I don't.
Because there are, on a lot of things, what happens is, you can have a lease down to the Gordon, you can have a lease down, it's split out, and then you can have something that deals with the coal rights. So, depending on when that lease was done, whoever signed the original stuff, they might have a very specific thing that lease only covers down to a certain sand. And the Marcellus might not be included in it.
This original lease was signed in 1978, and if that was the case, then the company would have come to us to lease the Marcellus rights rather than come to us for a pooling.
Not necessarily. I mean, I would
If-
hope that when Harry looked at it, he looked at the original lease and looked at all that stuff, because sometimes the language in them can be very deceptive, and having listened to enough landmen, etc., what sometimes happens is they don't necessarily give you all the information that you need in the hopes of getting what they want, and those, it's just, I would just say exercise some caution.
Well, I think what you're referring to, if a company comes in and leases your mineral rights and you don't specify a depth or a sand or whatever, then the lease, I think, is considered to the center of the earth.
Surface to cool.
And if you specify, then that leaves the rest, the other sands available for lease. Dan?
I've heard too also that some people been able to get maybe a couple $100 an acre for pooling.
For
agreements
pooling
there.
agreement?
Yeah. Of course, the industry's not wanting to start forking out any money for anything like that. But I have heard of some instances where individuals say they have got money for
Right.
and raising the Marcellus payment up to 15%. That still leaves the 3.5% interest to go to your people who are signing it.
And I would like to comment that the oil companies are very quick to point out to me that the 1/8 royalty only applies to oil. Does not necessarily apply to gas. And if you're not careful, they're going to stick in post-production costs for you, and the 1/8 they'll tell you doesn't apply to gas. And I also ask if it is clear, if I understand where you're talking, this land is the old, what used to be that old farmhouse that was the old soldier's home between Sunnydale and the Oxford Road. I haven't looked at any of the firm maps, but is that not out in the floodplain?
No, it's not.
It's
It's not in
the
the
farms
designated?
on up the hollow.
Okay.
Okay.
And I don't know that, this is just lease, pooling for the minerals. It's not referring to a well location.
But a pooling agreement gives them the right to establish a drilling site.
Yes, but they would
Okay.
have to negotiate with, I mean, all we own is the mineral rights.
How much time do you have to sign?
Well, what he indicated to me, and it was dated back in February, and I brought it to the county, to a equalization and review meeting, and that's shortly after is when I turned it over to Harry. The gentleman tells me, now, he's been honest with me thus far, tells me that they're looking to move on this quickly now. I don't know, he's never said, but he asked me after the last meeting, and it wasn't on the agenda, so.
Well, the question is, you want to send this back to Harry for review, or you want to proceed, that's the question.
What do you, we can't hear back here.
Sorry. I asked him, does the commission want to send this back to Harry and review your comments, what you people have said to us, or do we want to act and sign it today? That's my question between the other two commissioners. I want their input before I make a decision. I don't want to say we're signing it. Yeah.
Rarely do you find an attorney who knows a great deal about economics. I would suggest that Harry should contact people who know something about economics, unless he tells you he knows something about the economics associated with drilling. They know about the law. That's what
I don't know anything about it, sorry.
I would suggest then that we table it until the next meeting, ask Harry to review the comments, questions that have been raised, and we don't want to, I hate to say it this way, we don't want to leave any money on the table either, so.
Okay. Thanks.